Awesome. Yeah, it says it's recording on my end. So yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so today is your last day of your 12-week program. And as you know, we have this ritual of always starting our sessions with what is going well. So what's going well?
A lot of things are going well. I feel like a lot of stuff clicked after our session last week. And the word we've been using, that ease word, has been really, really great in finding that balance. Like yesterday I worked. I was able to split my work into 2 kind of chunks for the day. I worked and then I had some kind of chill time. I made myself some food. I relaxed, went and did the second chunk of my work, and then I finished at 4. And I was like, I could keep going, or I could just be done for the day because I
Mm,
accomplished what I needed to get done today.
yeah.
And I
And so
closed my laptop and I stopped. I stopped working.
that's amazing because I know that we've been working through this whole idea of like feeling the pressure to overwork and to just continue pushing through maybe some energy blocks. So it's good to recognize that you've found this balance that we've been chasing for weeks and it's really starting to click,
I've
right?
been chasing it for years. So we've managed to tackle it in 12 weeks. That's a 12 weeks well spent.
Yay.
Um, but yeah, and then finding time to put actual like fitness and movement into those breaks as well when I can, when my body allows,
Mhm.
and kind of being able to feel that and spending my off time in the kitchen too. Like I got Costco amounts of broccoli, spinach, Brussels sprouts, and asparagus like last week. And I'm almost done with 3/4 of it all.
Whoa. So you've definitely been incorporating like those because I know that we made a list of anti-inflammatory foods
Yeah.
and a lot of them included those like dark leafy greens and just good vegetables. And so it sounds like if you got Costco amounts,
For
then
my 2-person household. Yeah.
clearly
Um,
they're being used. So
oh my gosh, yeah. Especially the broccoli and spinach, I found a
Mhm.
lot of ways because I tried making some salads and they just made me sad. Like I'd get home from a long day at work on set and I'd get home and I'd eat the salad and I'm like, this isn't what I want. Like this is not yummy. And I want to like spinach salad so bad and I just don't. And but learning to cook them, I learned how to chop up a ton of broccoli and spinach and make it into like a pasta sauce.
Mm.
So it's
So
the
it's a
idea of
lot
adding
more
things in.
comfort food level,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
still gives you
and
those healthy
making a
foods.
bunch of tofu in different ways with different seasonings with that turmeric and garlic and stuff that's supposed to help.
Mhm.
I've been eating berries in the morning,
Yay.
which are supposed to help. Like, it's just I didn't have to get rid of pasta or anything yummy. I just kind of just kept adding
Yeah.
good stuff to it. I have, like, frozen veggies from Costco too in the freezer that I'll just throw on whatever. If I'm
Good.
like, "I don't want to make food, but I want vegetables," microwave these and I'm good to go.
Yeah. I think that idea of the ease part of not only just finding the balance and the ease in your fitness regimen, but also the ease in the kitchen time. Like
Yeah.
it takes a lot of energy and brain power to like come up with a combination of things. But if you can kind of mindlessly do like, this is my go-to, frozen veggies, yes, grains, yes, protein, yes, boom, done.
Oh my gosh, and finding a little bit of fun in the kitchen that I haven't had in so long.
Mhm.
Like, I was scrolling on TikTok, and there was a vegan sheet pan quesadilla that came up
Hmm.
that I'll have to send it to you because it's delicious. And
Yes,
it
please
was one of
do.
those things that I haven't had a kitchen well stocked in forever until we started. My kitchen now has, like, things to cook in, which makes it easier to cook.
Easier.
Easier. Um, but I was watching this TikTok video and I went, "Huh, I have all these ingredients. I'm gonna get off my bed and off TikTok and I'm just gonna make these quesadillas while I have the motivation to do it right now." Like, don't overthink it, just go make the quesadillas. Like, I can talk myself out of doing anything and make it seem hard
Yeah.
when it's not. But it's
Mm.
basically you put, like, a layer of tortillas down. I made this, like, tofu and black bean, full of all the spices I'm supposed to be eating kind of mixture. I used real cheese and not vegan cheese, and then just kinda put
I won't tell anyone.
that and then some cheese, and then you basically just, like, fold the tortillas, like, you have them like, half off, so you, like, fold them in,
Yeah,
and you,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then you can, like, cut it like a lasagna.
Oh, wow. So many elements.
I know, it was so, but again, like, then I had food for the day. Like, I made it for
Mhm,
lunch, and I could snack on it all day. It had tofu, it had tons of protein, it had,
mhm,
and then I could eat veggies on the side. I chopped
mhm.
up a bunch of bell peppers and onions and garlic in there. Like, it was one of those things that I was like, "This food has stuff I'm supposed to eat in it." And it was fun to make.
Yay! Yeah, that is I think the thing that I heard you say that really stood out to me the most was when you were talking about how in the past you had a tendency to kind of overthink and make things seem like they're a lot harder than they actually are. And I know that that was one of the roadblocks that you and I worked through was, is it really what's the payoff on the other side? And that should be what's pushing you past that wall. And it
Yeah.
sounds like that was exactly it, where you're like, I have everything that this TikTok is talking about. And look at how good it looks. I'm gonna freaking make it right now. And you overcame that hurdle that I think has held you back before. And now you're
Right.
like, yeah, of course I would do that.
Oh,
So easy.
it was fun and easy, and it's also the idea of I've been struggling with the idea of self-care. Sorry, I had a mini stroke. I saw my husband outside and I was like, "Why are you outside?" Sorry. I'll start over. That just like broke my brain. I saw my dog first and I was like, "Is that my dog?" And then Alex dyed his hair bright blue, so I still don't recognize him sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There's
I'll
a
go back.
reason.
But one of those things I've been really working through is the idea that self-care and self-love doesn't just mean taking a bath and laying down when I feel like it. It means doing the things for myself that I know are going to help me. The idea of making food even when I don't feel like it is self-care because my body won't feel better until I give it good stuff. That doing a workout doesn't feel easy in the moment necessarily, but it helps me have ease later to like be able the ease of relaxing afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just finding that balance of not pushing myself too hard, but making sure to hold myself accountable to helping myself like I would help others.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, it really sounds like you've understood what self-care means for you, because self-care is another one of those things, just like health, just like fitness, that we get a lot of pressure from outside sources to fit these certain boxes.
Oh my god, yeah.
And self-care doesn't need to be a bath with candles and Enya playing. Like,
No, I get super bored.
yeah, me too. So you've realized through these exercises and just opportunities to have these realizations that self-care means fueling your body with the foods that you know make yourself feel good. That movement, even in the moment, might kind of suck, but you know the payoff afterward. You
Yeah.
know how it's going to make you feel, and you're a lot more aware of what
Mhm.
feels good for you.
Yeah, and the accountability of doing things like finally scheduling all the doctor's appointments I needed to do, which felt insurmountably hard. But it's the idea of if I care about if my husband needed medical treatment and couldn't make a phone call, I would go and make a million phone calls, right? The idea of, okay, I'm just going to treat myself like a loved one.
Because you have to be loved by yourself.
Exactly. Give yourself the same grace you give all your loved ones.
Mhm.
And it seems so duh, but it's not.
No, it isn't, and it's hard for a lot of us, and I say us because I'm in that as well. Like, so for some people, loving yourself could be looking in the mirror and being like, "You're beautiful." For me, that always felt really, weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was like, okay, weird.
I know I'm supposed to be saying this to myself in a mirror, but this feels weird.
Yeah, it like didn't do the thing that I was told it was gonna do for me.
Mhm.
But then that realization that like I want to treat myself the way that I would treat other people. I want to do the things for myself that I would without question do for the people that I cared about. Like why would I not do that for myself? And so like you said, it is a big duh, but it's a big aha as well when we get
Like, if I can take my car to get an oil change, I can make a doctor's appointment for myself. Like, it's the idea of, like, the weird priorities we've made.
I need to take care of my car, but I'm gonna ignore all of me.
Like, all my warning signals are going off, but that's fine.
I'm really glad that you brought up that whole idea of aha with the self-care and with understanding what works for you. And that's kind of what I want to do in this last session is just kind of look back and think about those empowering lessons, the exercises or the conversations that we've had that really just made that switch, that
Yeah.
things just started to click and you just kind of started to think things differently.
Yeah.
Do anything's come to the top of your mind?
Well, I think at the very beginning of this 12-week program, I had no idea about anything with my health. I just knew I didn't feel good and I couldn't force myself to move and I couldn't force myself to cook and I didn't have the energy to make an appointment with my doctor. And I was just in this like zone of feeling guilty about not doing more, but not knowing if me not doing something was me being lazy or if it was me being sick or what it was. And coming to that, we talked a lot about just maintenance while everything got figured out.
Mm.
Because with chronic illnesses, it's not like a, oh, we tested you, you're positive. Like it's more of a here's medicine. Go feel better. It's
Mhm.
not as simple of a process. And you like we had conversations about taking steps even though everything was unsure and I felt like, well, I can't make any steps till I know.
Mhm.
But we had conversations about like, okay, so what can we do
Mhm.
now? No matter your diagnosis, getting a little bit of movement is probably good for you. No matter your diagnosis, we can make some grocery store changes.
Mhm.
I mean, literally, we had a whole session that was all about me not having the energy to go grocery shopping. And it was such a block for me, which is why I didn't have healthy food around. It was why um, but me not being able to go to the grocery store it got in the way of me cooking. It got in the way of me having healthy snacks around. It got in the way of me and my like financial like anxiety because I was spending so much money on takeout. Like it took so many stressors away to just have a stocked kitchen. And that feels so simple. But now I'm like, okay, I want to make food. I can make a dinner that is healthy, that is filling, and it's in my kitchen without having to go do something.
That is huge. That
Yeah,
is
and it
really,
took
really huge.
an entire hour of us talking about the logistics of me going to the grocery store, knowing what I needed to buy. That's all we talked about for an entire session.
Well, I know that we also talked about, like, the delivery service that you were using
Yeah.
and how we kind of identified, okay, if you're not using the produce that you get sent, then let's kind of ditch that idea and
Yeah, that I was
do something else.
and navigating all these weird times because the world.
Yeah.
And then also, I live in a big city. I live in a crowded place. With my diagnosis, probably am a little bit more susceptible to stuff and have to be a little bit more
Cautious.
careful. But I need to get the right stuff in my body. So making those calculated risks and figuring out what's actually best for my body and what I'm comfortable with and yeah, it became a lot easier, especially when I knew what I was gonna buy. It
Mhm.
didn't like I wasn't going to the grocery store being like, okay, I'm supposed to buy vegetables. What vegetables look good?
Yeah.
And then what can I make with those? It's the idea of I'm like, okay, I know I can make a million things with broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and spinach. So I'm just gonna get those.
Yeah.
And the little mini bell peppers. Like I'm like, I grab all those and I take them home and I have a bajillion meals.
And you talked about, like, okay, what am I going to make with that? And you even made this like face, like, I have to use a lot of brain power. And
Yeah.
that takes energy away. And so at the beginning, when the whole idea of having enough energy to do all of the things that you felt like you needed to do, it was so paralyzing. And then now to be at this point where you feel, yeah, I know, and I don't have to think about it as hard. And so this face doesn't come up when I'm at the store.
No, it's the ease. It's the
Mm.
idea of letting go of the idea that we are all taught that life is supposed to be hard. That if you're not like that, like rise and grind culture,
Yeah.
that we all were taught to believe is the only way to live, the only respectable way to live our lives. And I can be passionate about my career and my life's allowed to not be 14 hours of working a day.
And there's this whole like pressure, I think maybe on our generation, like if you aren't fatigued, if you, this whole idea where like I'm better than you because I work harder.
Oh my
And
god, the fatigue competition is absurd. And it's like, and I dealt with it a lot, that I felt this weird pressure because I was constantly fatigued because of a chronic illness that included chronic fatigue. And then people would tell me like, "Yeah, I'm so tired. I did this. That's why I'm so tired." I'm like, "I didn't do any of that and I'm still tired. What's wrong with me? I must push myself even more. They must be more tired than I am. This much tired must be normal." And it literally caused me to ignore symptoms
yeah,
for years because I was like, well, everyone's this tired. Because we're taught that's how we should be feeling.
yeah, yeah. And you're
It's
like
so weird.
better than if you've earned your fatigue. And it's
If you
like,
got 8 hours of sleep, you're weak.
no.
It's so stupid. And it's so everywhere, especially in colleges and in schools and in like like at the workplace. It's like, oh, how was your day? I like, how was your night? How'd you do? It's like, oh, I was up till 2 a.m. working. Oh no, me, I was up till 4 a.m.
Yeah, right? It's so weird. I had a coworker who would constantly eh, tell us like, yeah, the band had to practice until whatever time, and then I didn't get home until midnight, and then I got here early, and I'm like, that sucks. That doesn't sound fun at all. I'm so glad that that's not my
Exactly. But it's weird because it's like they're bragging. And that's why we all are convinced we're supposed to be unhappy. That things aren't supposed to be easy. I think that's why the word ease just locked into my brain a few weeks ago when we talked about it. It's the idea of like, oh, because for the first time in my life, I'm in a job, and you saw me through the beginning of this job. You were with me like the week after I got this new job that I absolutely had no idea what I was doing. Zero clue. Literally didn't know what the position like did.
Yeah, yeah.
Showed up and was like, let's see. And now I've gotten 2 promotions, all this stuff in the last couple months.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, my job is something I enjoy and something where I feel like I'm respected. And I keep feeling like the other shoe is going to drop and like, oh my God. Like it's almost like I didn't trust that this was a good place to work because I'm like, well, these don't exist. This is too good to be true. When in reality, we should be accepting of people that aren't pushing us crazy, that aren't like, you have to stay late, come early,
Yeah.
that we can be passionate and committed to our work without like sacrificing everything else.
Yeah. Can you say that again for me?
We are allowed to be dedicated to our careers without letting it sacrifice every other part of our life.
That's big.
Yeah, you don't have to kill yourself to be successful. And if you do, maybe that's the system's fault and not
Yeah.
yours.
Rethinking your priorities is something that I think is really important to do. And so, talking about these empowering lessons that we've been working through for these 12 weeks, the grocery food shopping conversation, that was a huge turning point for you. Can you think of any other like exercises that we might have done? I'm flipping through. Um,
I think it was having someone, and you've done this already in this recording, of the idea of someone repeating back to me stuff I've said, right? That kind of like, we say things and then they're gone into the ether, right?
yeah, yeah.
um, but realizing that, especially as like a writer, it should have not taken me this long to realize my words are important. Like I literally write dialogue for a living, and I'm like, what people say, it's fine, whatever I said.
That is wild.
But it is. It's the idea of I'm like, oh, I did say that, and I mean it. Or I'm like, oh, I said that. Do I really think that, or did I just say that? And it makes you kind of reevaluate things that you just kind of said off the cuff.
Yeah, yeah. But then some of them hold a lot of meaning and some of them are worth digesting a little bit more, which is why when you said I'm allowed to be passionate and dedicated to my job without sacrificing other areas, I was like, say that again. That was big.
I see your eyes sometimes go, oh,
Mhm. And I
we'll
was
go
going,
back to that one, which is great because we're all just on autopilot a little bit. And these sessions really force me to get off of autopilot in a way
mm,
that's different than therapy. Because I definitely was in therapy and this at the same time, and they worked really well together, but they definitely gave me different skill sets.
that's
Right.
good.
And I think you would say the same thing. A health coach is not a therapist.
No.
Or they shouldn't be pretending to be.
No, 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 no. Not
But
licensed.
it was not me.
Can't do.
But it's the idea of, in therapy, we got down to the root of my problems and like, okay, so childhood trauma that caused this or that or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then I would be like, okay, now what? And these sessions gave me the now what, right? It's the like, okay, so I've dealt with this issue and I now it's not pushed down, it's at the surface. I can kind of see the issue and like think
Mhm.
about it. But now that I can think about it, I would just like think about things for forever. I'd be like, yeah, that did suck. And I don't do this now because of this thing. I didn't realize that was my block. Oh,
Mm.
that sucks. And then these sessions gave me the like, okay, so this is what you want to do. Okay, so here's the steps. It's like
Yeah.
therapy got me to the surface and you got me like out of the pool.
That's a good one. I like that. I am so glad that I was able to get you out of the pool.
The funny thing is I can't even swim in real life. Like I can't.
You're like, "Get me out of here."
Especially it did feel like I was making all this progress, but every time I made progress in like my emotional health, my
Mhm.
physical health just wouldn't let me go,
Mm.
which I
Mhm.
later learned was a literal disease and not just me being lazy, which was very validating. But the idea that they are so interconnected that now when I am in a better headspace, I can be like, yeah, I'm in pain and I know eating these foods will make me feel better. Not typing in bed will make me feel better. Getting out and going for a walk will make me feel better. I'm in the mindset of not just like depressive in pain, but like, okay, I'm in pain. What next?
Yeah. Yeah. To feel like you aren't just thinking about these, big breakthroughs, but how to then act on these big breakthroughs.
Because without action, it doesn't do anything. And I've always been like, I think we've talked about this. Neither of us are very like, let me just sit in it, let everything like wash over me kind of people.
No.
And the idea of like, if I don't have an action step, like my therapist learned very early on to give me homework because I needed it. I was
I
like,
like
okay,
that.
we dealt with the concept. I need something concrete. And
Mhm.
these sessions in this program, it's all about finding that non-concrete stuff and turning it into concrete steps, which is when the the format of these sessions really worked, of the idea of like, yeah, I did do what you told me last week and it went well, but not this didn't go as well,
Yeah.
into, okay, so this isn't going well probably because of this. I'm gonna pull this out. This, I'm
Mhm.
being you right now. I'm gonna
Right.
pull this out and we're gonna talk about this, and then we're gonna make a list of 3 action steps that I had access to look at the whole time. I like it gave me stuff to do and things to think about that made it like doable and not just like a thought change,
Right.
which makes it like long lasting and like accomplishable,
Mhm. Yeah. Where you feel like you are making progress.
like real life
Instead of
progress,
just
not just
yeah,
like in my head progress.
right, because that's not it's not very easy for you to like conceptualize that kind of progress. And so
No.
for you to have made that progress with a therapist and doing your own work outside of these sessions, you were able to be really real with yourself and be like, look, I had all of these things in my past that held me back, but now I feel so empowered to change that. I want to rewrite the story. Please help me.
Yeah, it
And
gave
then
like
we
it's a
did.
tool. It's a tool. Like these sessions are a way for me to like stop once a week, evaluate, kind of reset goals
Mhm.
and move on. Because again, your sessions with me were not, my goals weren't to lose weight, to gain muscle, to do whatever. Like those are often the like actionable, achievable metrics we're going by.
Right.
And mine weren't that. You could probably count the amount of times I cried a week and see how that went down or whatever. But it wasn't like, oh, I got on the scale. Never once did you ask me to get on a scale.
I don't think any of my clients have those kinds of metrics that we're working toward. I think it's all like internal growth that might it's a transformation
It's
because
not a weight loss
it's
program.
it's not. It's really not. And for you to feel like not put in this corner, like, oh, I'm meeting with my health coach who is expecting me to lose X amount of pounds or expecting me to become this like fitness person. No, that was never a part of this.
Because that would have been worse for my health, and you realize that. I needed to sit down. I needed to stop moving and find new movement that was gonna work for me.
Mhm.
Um, and it just wouldn't have worked any other way. And I think it's a hard thing to tell people what these sessions are because they're so individualized, right?
Yeah.
It's the idea of it's not a workout class. It's not therapy. It's I think it is just it's the you're like a guide to those concrete steps
Mhm.
and helping with that planning, that accountability. Yeah, it's like you're a hiking guide, right? Like we went on the hike on our own and maybe we could go, but we might get turned around here or there or wherever.
Mhm.
But you're like right there with it's like, oh nope, we're just gonna redirect right over here.
And I think that that's a really good analogy because you're making the steps. It's not me carrying you up this trail. Like you're hiking yourself.
Yeah.
I might just be you like you said like the guide.
Yeah.
I'm just
Exactly.
helping you clarify some mental blocks that maybe you've had. I pulled a session about halfway through where we talked about self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a really cool turning point because I had you make like an I am statement. And um, yours was, I am confident that my decisions are all worth it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that. That's hard because at this stage of your mid-20s, figuring your life out in the middle of a freaking this, um, or it did this the COVID really doesn't affect the core of it though, of the idea of we're making so many decisions unsupervised, like, okay,
Cross
let's
my
see.
fingers, this works.
Especially for someone like me that would, you know what? I'm going to move to Los Angeles to become a television writer. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
okay, sure,
Okay.
there's no path there. But I made the decision and standing in my decisions and trusting myself, which was something I really struggled with, trusting past me, current me,
Mm,
to make what was right for future me. But I'm allowed to make decisions that are good for current me now,
yeah.
which is really cool. And make the decisions that I'm like, it is my decision, it is my life, and I think they're all going to be worth it.
So, so cool.
And if they're not, okay, I'll fix it.
Yeah. I have a guide.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing that I kind of want to ask you, because this is technically the end of this program, that doesn't mean that your growth needs to stop. And so I always like to end with an empowering action step. What's next for you? What's another goal that you want to reach or another hurdle you want to overcome?
My goal is to, it's in the same vein of the ease, right? Is that I'm
Mhm.
going to allow myself to trust where I am right now. That it feels too good to be true sometimes.
Mm.
But I'm like, I'm going to put my weight into the chair, right? I'm going to let it, just going to sit comfortably for a second and not just like hover or like be ready to like
Yeah.
run. I'm going to just let myself
Mm.
and work when I need to, do the work that I need to, do it well. But when I'm not working, I'm not going to be looking for another job or looking for a side gig or whatever. I'm going to trust that in my off and on job, which is a couple weeks on, a couple weeks off, then like it's just unpredictable. I'm going to lean into that and wake up in the morning that I don't have work and stop feeling guilty that everyone else is working a 9 to 5 that in my head and that I should be working and be like, I have the day off. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to cook myself a good meal. Then I'm going to take a nap and not feel this pressure to compare with people that don't exist. Like this imaginary person in my head that I'm comparing myself to. It's not even an actual human. But the idea of that, finding that ease and trust in my current life
Mm.
after spending so much time fighting to get here. I spent my entire life from 5 years old on being like, I want to work in TV. I worked my butt off to get here. I sacrificed so much. And now I'm here and I get to just breathe
Yeah.
because I worked so hard to get where I am. I get to let go of some of that now.
Wow. Yes, you do. Just relax. Relax into knowing that you did it. You did the damn thing, and it's not going to be taken away from you because you made it happen for yourself.
Exactly. And a job is a job. This job falls through, show gets canceled, whatever. I'm in a place that I can figure it out.
Mm. Damn, girl.
I
Yeah. God, I'm so proud of you.
know.
I really, really just am so it was really cool looking back because yeah, at the beginning, obviously everything was weird. You had just gotten this job, you had just gotten your diagnosis. You were like, what the fuck?
Everything was an unknown. At the start of this, every single part of my life was an unknown. And we have, with doctors, with us, with other people, like with my job, I have found some knowns, which
Yeah.
is nice that there are a few knowns in my life now.
Mm.
But it's not like there aren't unknowns anymore. Like I have plenty of unknowns. They just feel less anxiety inducing now. Like I'm like, there are parts of my life that I just have to come to grips. I will never know.
Mhm.
And I don't, me stressing about them doesn't make them any more known.
And that's a huge self-discovery to acknowledge that, like, the unknowns are always going to be there, but now you have the confidence to tackle it and know that there are some parts of your life that because you have that control.
Because I made those decisions, and I
Yes.
still think the decision is worth it, but it
Mhm.
comes with some downsides. As any decision does, there are pros and cons. And I was convinced I couldn't breathe until I had all my ducks in a row and everything was known. That's never going to happen. And I can't wait for that moment to, like, exhale.
No, it was an unrealistic expectation that you put on yourself, but I think it was obviously put on you from past experiences and society and whatever. But now you've like made your peace with acknowledging that that expectation isn't attainable, but what you've made for yourself right now is ideal.
For right now, I am so happy. In 2021 to 2022, so in the last calendar year, almost nothing of my life is the same.
Yeah.
And who knows, in a year, I might say the same exact thing. But this year, it almost broke me. And I have confidence that if it happens again, I have a more core understanding of who I am. So when everything around me changes, I'm still like
You
centered. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
it
And isn't
really
that what we're all looking for is like accepting that things might change, but to know that we are in alignment with ourselves and we have this like understanding that we are okay.
yeah. And the fact that that doesn't mean I'm not gonna be anxious. I have anxiety. I have depression. I have a chronic illness. There are going to be days I feel like crap,
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, physically. But even on those days, to have the knowledge of being like, I feel like this, and I'm not gonna pretend like I don't. I'm not gonna try to force myself past what my body can do right now. I'm gonna let myself feel this, ride this out, but I know it's not forever. Like it used to feel like when I'd get into these like dips, I'd be like, "This is it. It's down. I'm just gonna
Yeah, keep
hit rock
sliding.
bottom." Instead, realizing I'm like, "Okay, I'm in a dip, but it's gonna undip,
Mhm.
and we're gonna be fine."
Yeah.
Um, because it's not like because it's unrealistic to say like do this program and you'll never have anxiety again. But I think I got something much more valuable out of it. That was like, I did this program, I have anxiety, but I trust myself to get out from under it.
Mm. Wow.
I've been doing so many like dancing hand
You know,
motions.
you're like the whole world.
um, you just
Here,
inspire me to dance.
performing arts people. It's so here.
We can never escape it, even if we tried.
I know. No, it will always be inside me. Um, thank you so much for allowing me to record. I'm gonna stop recording now if you're good
Cool.
with that.
Yeah.
Um, cool.